Hello and welcome to the Vital Blend. My name is Anthony Vita. So glad you could be tuning into this episode because today I'm going to be introducing you to a woman named Rachel Eccles. She has a very powerful story, a very powerful transformation. She lost nearly 100 pounds on a whole food plant-based lifestyle. But as she'll tell you, it wasn't just a number on a scale that she was looking to reach, and it wasn't that easy. She had to overcome a lot of obstacles in order to get to where she is today. Everything from breaking through, dietary confusion over what's healthy, high carb, low carb, got your protein, got your milk. She had to cut through all that confusion. She also had to get rid of her food addictions from the very highly toxic standard American diet, not to mention having a husband that was not fully on board with her plant-based shift and the difficulties that came with having a lot of food coming into your house that you're trying to get away from. Despite all of that, Rachel stood up for herself and she got through it. And not only is she a different person, but she's a better person than she was before. So without any further ado, let's meet Rachel.
I never had any health problems or even weight problems growing up. But after I got married and had a couple of kids, I started to pick up weight and I couldn't get it off. So I just over the years kind of got healthy or got heavier and heavier and was always worried about it. And I did a lot of dieting. So a couple of times, I did lose weight, mostly through excessive exercise or some sort of very extreme diet. Several times I got the weight off, but I could never ever keep it off. As a matter of fact, some of these unhealthy diets that I did, I got down pretty thin, but I couldn't even hold my weight there for a month. What I thought was eating healthy was kind of what we hear every day, the standard line. I would, substitute turkey for beef, eat poultry, white meat, chicken and turkey instead of beef, eat your low fat dairy products. So I was really confused. I really believed in, eating fruits, vegetables, and whole grains and beans because everybody knows that stuff is healthy. But there's this message out there that how do you manage your weight or whatever, doing that? It seems like the opposite of what you should be doing. So I had these questions for years. And at the age of 40, I started pharmacy school as an older student. And I was already overweight when I started. Like I say, I dieted but couldn't keep the weight off. And during pharmacy school, the late nights, the stress, them eating us poor food at school, sitting in class all day, coming home and sitting all night, and being sleep deprived and completely stressed out. I was also working a job and had two teenagers in the house, just total stress. I gained another 35 pounds in pharmacy school. And when I graduated, I was my heaviest ever. So my BMI was 37 or 38. My cholesterol was 260 and my LDL was 176, which is pretty scary.
Mhm.
So that's what was going on with me. And I went and saw my doctor and she just told me, we're going to have to put you on a statin. You know all about statins because you're a pharmacist. But, she's like, I'll give you a chance to try to fix this first, but, we got to do something about this and your weight. So bless that doctor. She's the only whole food plant-based doctor that I had ever, and I didn't even know what whole food plant-based was. But she gave me some paperwork and some stuff to read and research and gave me advice that no doctor had ever given me before. And that was to eat more whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and beans, and try to reduce or eliminate eggs, cheese, all meat, including fish and chicken. And to keep oils minimal or eliminate them. And I had never heard anybody say that to me before. And so she sent me home with these papers, and one of them was watch the movie Forks Over Knives. One was to read the China study. And so the second I watched that movie, it all clicked. Why would I wait? How could I go halfway when I had been waiting and praying for this for so long? So it was just, there was no halfway for me. That's why the film impacted me so much, is because everything came together and I knew it was the answer that I'd been looking for.
And so you jumped in 100%, right?
I did. I went from standard American diet to probably about 95% whole food plant-based in 3 days. By the end of
Wow.
3 days, I was, pretty much there. I had no idea what I was doing and I didn't know how to deal with oils, but I just jumped in. I started that night by leaving the meat off my plate. We had pork chops and some side dishes, and I just ate the side dishes and made sure that my husband could put the butter or whatever he wanted on his after it was served. But
That sounds like a lot that you took on. The oil is not like an amateur thing. A lot of times people need a little bit of help, how they can do it with water or maybe like the vegetable broth, and you just jumped right in. And when you did start to make meals, when it wasn't a matter of just, well, I'm not going to have the meat, what kind of things were you starting to make that you found satisfied your taste buds and that filled you up? And because the other thing that I want to talk about is when you go from that standard American diet that's very toxic and addictive, it's not easy. It's almost like you're on a drug and your brain still wants it and it will remind you that it's not coming in. And so I want to talk about that, but also what were you starting to really eat when you had to think about, all right, I have to have, all these meals?
so I'll just say that it was, even thinking back about it, I wonder how I got through it.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult. And, part of my history is emotional eating, addiction to sugar, overeating, just toxic hunger and food addictions are my past. And they are part of my family, actually. Everyone in my family has these problems. So the food addictions were very, very strong and very hard. And I think what got me through that is the conviction that I had. I was 100% sure that this was the answer for me and there was no going back. So I ate a lot of food is basically what I did. I didn't put any limits on portion sizes or what type of plant food. I just stayed away from all the animal products and oil, tried to stay away from oil at first. So I was eating a lot of oatmeal. If I got hungry in the middle of the day and there wasn't anything made, well, I had a bowl of oatmeal, berries and almond milk on it, and cinnamon. I had whole grain, bread that didn't have any eggs or oil or anything in it that I ate, and I would just put applesauce on top. Just have some toast. And I do eat honey, so sometimes I would just put honey on it or whatever. But I was in survival mode, so. I think for a long time, dinners were, I just kept, my husband wasn't exactly thrilled about this. So I was just making the same things we always ate. And I would just alter mine or leave stuff out of mine. And that's how we handled dinners for a long time. But there's a lot of dinners you can make several ways, and so we did that, or we just ate whatever was normal for us, but I would just leave stuff out. And again, if I got hungry, I had some oatmeal or a piece of toast, or I ate a lot of pasta the first few months, and potatoes, a lot of baked
Right.
potatoes. The stuff that really satiates you, because I was starving. I mean, I was
Yeah.
really hungry,
Right.
and I had the withdrawal stuff going on at the same time. So, sometimes I don't say often enough to people how hard it was. It was not an easy thing for me. It was
Right.
very hard, but the conviction really carried me through.
Thing is, Rachel, you look like a different person now. And certainly you must feel like a different person, and that must come out in your interactions with your family. Like, what does your husband think about the dramatic change? I mean, what does he say about that?
You know what's so funny? So many people come up to him and say, where you have a new young wife? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And people tell me I've reverse aged. So for those of you who don't know my story, I've lost 90 pounds. My cholesterol that was 260 floats around 155 or 160 now. I wish I could get that lower. And I exercise every day, cardio and strength training 5 days a week. But part of this is your genes. I think for me, I just want to be the best that my genetics will allow me to be. But anyway, my husband's proud of me, and I've heard him bragging on me. I had my picture and my weight loss story in a national women's magazine recently. And, we'd go to Target or, the grocery store, and he'd pick up the magazine and show it to everybody, like perfect strangers. That's my wife on the cover of the magazine. So he's proud of me. He is. I think he just doesn't, he's not ready. And I don't think
Right.
he'll ever be ready, which is fine.
I love how you stand up for yourself. And I think that that's what this really is. You know what is best because you know where you have been.
Nobody is going to stand up for you but you. Even the people closest to you won't stand up for you like you need them to, like you can. And it is 100% your own responsibility to take care of it.
Yeah.
Also, that stuff doesn't tempt me anymore. Like I actually visualize it as doing things to my body. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just you would never ever pour shortening or oil down your kitchen drain. And I know if it's doing that to those tubes, what's it doing to mine, to my arteries? And it really helps to envision that when you see a food that you shouldn't eat, to think about what it's doing. Plus, I have the advantage at this point of knowing what I felt like at 90 pounds heavier,
Yeah.
what I felt like, what I looked like at 90 pounds heavier, and how I look and how I feel now.
Right.
And it's not all about looks either. It's about snoring, migraines, fatigue, and I'm an amateur photographer and I've got this huge camera lens, and it's like, do I want to drag the tripod along or can I carry this? I can carry it, I mean, like, there's a million things that I wanted to have the energy to do that I couldn't, that I can do now. And all you got to do is think about one or two of those reasons when you're tempted, and it puts it all in perspective. So I'm never going back. I'm not even going to step close to the edge. I just won't.
Right.
I'm a different person and I feel better and I'm happier.